Are you looking for what is probably the highest quality, best made front rest that accommodates everything from a little Chipmunk 22 up to a 60-pound Benchrest rifle? I'm going to show you the Stukey rest, and it does just that. Let's go take a look. And this is it. This is the Stukey rest. Now, I'm just going to get a couple things out of the way right now. We'll just call them the elephants in the room. First thing, this rest was probably not designed for you. It is a very small market of people who are looking for a rest made to this quality, with this weight, with this variability, and we're largely looking at people with large gun collections that shoot anything from maybe a grandkid's, Chipmunk rifle all the way up to a 60-pound Benchrest rifle, maybe a heavy varmint gun, F-class gun, if you're sighting in or practicing, although it's not designed to be a traditional F-class rest. So a lot of different possibilities. Also, it is a little bit expensive. It's a little over $4,000. Yes, he already knows that, and he understands it's not going to be a price point that everybody wants to swing. And the third thing is, it is heavy, and I mean heavy. It's about 44 pounds. It is the heaviest front rest I've ever come across, but it lends itself to incredible stability. So now that we've gotten those three things out of the way, let me walk you through the rest itself, and you can see if it's something you're interested in, or you can just watch this video and appreciate the craftsmanship that went into it. So first, let's start with the head. We're gonna go from the top to the bottom here. The first is, it's designed to swivel. It does not have a built-in locking mechanism to secure that head in any way. However, he does offer a shim kit if you want to take out the big race of bearings that are in there and replace it with a pressure fit bearing. Then you can adjust how tight this head is. I will tell you, having used both, I do prefer the head to swivel a little bit, not unlike some front rests for F-class that I've used as well. It does take a little getting used to if you're not used to it, but once you get past that, it's pretty simple. The bag setup is really modular, and that's one of the biggest things that he wanted to do when he set out to make this. So he wanted to have something that he could use, shooting a small little 22 with his grandkids, all the way up to doing 1,000-yard, 500 to 1,000-yard varmint shooting if he needed to, Benchrest, all kinds of different things. And the way that's going to work, there's going to be a series of holes across the front here, and there is a simple pin that is in here that is going to allow you to move these ears in or out depending on your needs. And the great thing is that when you have these inserted, they are really secure. I've never had them almost fall out or even remotely want to fall out. There's just enough interference that you do have to push them out with the included Allen wrench. But you can also swap out for things like, this is an Edgewood 2-inch bag here. You can get an Edgewood 3-inch bag. They make a variety of these. They make them with like a U shape for a sporter rifle. Lots of different bags will fit, and even some other brands as well. Anything that has this basic dimension is going to fit into his groove that's in there. And again, swapping that out is going to be as simple as pulling out that same pin and just removing everything, sliding in the new bag, and then putting the ear back behind it. So very simple, very easy to use. The ear system has what you would expect, which is a traditional just thumb screw here to adjust the ear tightness. But it's a good screw. It holds in well. It's what you'd expect. Nothing more, nothing less. The inside of this plate, I should show you for the ear pressure, is a really nice flat aluminum block. And it is going to give really good pressure on the back side of the ears like it should. There's no awkward pressure points or anything like that. I have definitely seen that on some rests where you're not really getting a consistent application of the pressure to your stock through the ears. It's maybe twisting or deforming them a little bit, and this definitely does not do that. The front bag stop or rest stop here for your forend is available in two different sizes. So it comes with a short and a tall. And you'll notice there's a little set screw right here. So again, with the included Allen wrench, you can simply loosen this. You can raise or lower whichever one you need so that you get the perfect elevation on your stock. And then the thumb screw allows you to move this in or out depending on your needs for your particular rifle. I tend to run mine pretty far out. That's just the way I am. And the forend stop is securely kept on the back side right here. Now the Allen wrench that I've been using also has 2 little magnets and a grooved out section on the back here that keeps it in place. So whether it's in the back of my truck or on a bench somewhere out in the field, you're not going to lose it. And then we get into the major adjustments, and we're talking about how do you get it set up and how do you adjust it when you want to shoot? Well, first off, it's going to have your traditional jack screws like this, and that is going to be the 2 in the back here, and it's going to come with 1 in the front. And then I've replaced it with his speed screw. If you do a lot of fine adjustment, shooting Benchrest, things like that, I've done a ton of 22 shooting off this thing, shooting really tiny targets. I like the speed screw because it's easier to maneuver, and it also moves a little faster than the jack screw that comes with it. So you see this, I've seen this on some other rests for Benchrest where they have a what's called a speed screw, and a lot of guys like shooting with that, and I think that's a good way to go. I've definitely found it to be advantageous for me. Setting it up, I'm going to obviously level it. There are several levels built into the front top here, and he does tune those so that they are perfectly level with the system here. So I'm going to move the jack screws, I'm going to level everything, and then once I have that, I need to determine if I want to go, if I'm shooting long distance or shorter distance. And this stage 1 screw right here, and I'm just going to show you right here, I loosen that up, and now this whole head with the Mariner wheel can be moved up or down and locked into a position. And then I can loosen the stage 2, and I can adjust my Mariner wheel up or down, and that's going to give me fine adjustments. So in my case, whether I'm shooting 50 yards or 200 yards with my 22, I'm going to do the course adjustment here with the stage 1 to get to the center of the target. And then once that's locked in, I can use the Mariner wheel to go from the top of the target to the bottom of the target, and it's really simple. I then have my windage knobs here. They're big, they're tactile, they're easy to grab. I've shot this in freezing cold weather with gloves on. It works great that way. Obviously with bare hands, it's really good as well. And one of the things, because of how this is designed, because the screw tolerance is so tight, the interference is buttery smooth. There is no lash, no rubber banding, no rebounding, no anything that you want to call it, where maybe you've seen this in some other front rests where you make an adjustment left and then it sort of like bumps to the right a little bit, or you bump to the left and it goes a little bit more to the left. None of that kind of stuff is going on here. If you want to go a little bit more to the right, you just tweak it a little bit. Everything goes to the right. It is rock solid. I have shot countless rounds of my 22 with this, and if I make a little adjustment to the right, my bullet goes a little bit to the right. If I go to the left, a little bit of left. It tracks really, really well, and that's definitely been appreciated. Like I said, once I have my Mariner wheel set, I can go up or down, and then I can lock in the stage 2 screw, and then I'm set to go there. Now, let's say you shoot left-handed or you'd like to change the configuration. Well, he figured that, and so he made it where you can actually remove the stage 1 screw and flip it over here to the other side and install it. I happen to shoot on the right side, so I'm going to leave it. And then the stage 2 screw can be swung over here to this side, and now you can operate it. So you can have a left-left, you can have a right-right. Any way you want to do it, it's super easy. I'm just going to move it back to the way I shoot it, which is right here on the left side. Very, very simple and easy to use. Now look, I'm not going to make this out to be any more than it is. It is a very well-made rest. The fit and finish is incredible. The tolerances are so darn tight. There was a piece he was showing me as he was assembling one in his shop, and he just drops it, and it's almost like the thing was EDM'd. I mean, it sinks under the air pressure. It doesn't just drop and hit the ground. It's just really, really tight. I want to say he told me most of his parts are machined to a tolerance of 1/10,000ths, which is crazy. And he went through a couple different suppliers before he could find somebody that was willing to do that. In fact, he got some funny pushback. He was telling me, somebody was like, hey, look, I found some ways to get your costs down. I can do this, this, and this. And Royal said, well, that's not what I asked for. I asked for these tolerances, this interference. The cost isn't important to me on it. And they said, okay, like we can make it that way. We were just trying to help. We've never had a customer tell us that they, actually want us to do it the way they asked and not save them money. So it was kind of funny from that standpoint. Everything, as far as I know, from what he's told me, is manufactured or assembled in the U.S. You know, I don't know all of the parts, but I do know that his goal was to have this be a U.S. made and assembled front rest. I know that's important to a lot of people. Obviously, in today's world, made in the USA means something now when it's made in the USA. And I think more of us are looking for things made in the USA these days. And, you know, it's a labor of love for him, right? He wanted a rest that fit all of these different needs for him. He, you know, wanted something where he could just swap out bags or move bags in and out depending on the rest he wanted or the front forend that he wanted to use. He goes out and he shoots, you know, prairie dogs and sage rats, you know, a couple 100 yards out. He goes varmint hunting for coyotes, you know, further than that. He shoots, he does rock hunting, not rock chuck hunting, but rock hunting where he'll just go out on this bluff. It's really beautiful. He showed me a picture. And he'll just go out on this bluff and him and his buddy will pick out rocks that are, you know, 800, 900, 1200 yards out. And, you know, they do rock hunting competitions where they just shoot rocks. And I thought that was pretty funny, but again, pretty cool to see that he could do it. And, you know, whether this is on a concrete base, whether it's on a bench, wood bench, it is going to be incredibly stable because of its weight. You cannot shake this thing. When it is locked down, there's no give to this thing. And it's something that really stood out for me. I'm used to having a little bit of tolerance, you know, a little less tolerance with my F-class front rests because, you know, they could get a little bit more dirt, dust, wet, all kinds of things that we do with them. There's larger thread patterns on them because we're moving the rests faster. We're using a joystick. We're doing things that, you know, just by nature, typically are going to have a little more gap in them. This thing is just made to be rock darn solid, and he accomplished it. So look, at the end of the day, hopefully you've at least enjoyed looking at this and understanding what goes into it. It is a very well made front rest, and until you have your hands on one, it's really tough to communicate that. But maybe it fits your needs. Maybe you've been looking for the ultimate front rest. Maybe you do a ton of shooting out in the field off of, you know, a concrete bench or a really solid front type setup like he does. Stukey also makes probably the best field bench that you'll ever find. But maybe you've got a really solid bench that you use out in the field and do a lot of shooting with. This is going to complement that very well. He targets people like Safari Land and stuff like that where or Safari International, where you've got people that have just these huge assortments of rifles that they might be trying to shoot with all different kinds of front forends and bag riders and no bag riders and chassis and wood. And this does all of that without having to get different front rests. So very purpose driven, very labor of love, you know, going through suppliers until he found the ones that would do it the way he wanted it to do. And as you would expect, it shows up in the final product. So with that, I do hope no matter what front rest you are using, you have a chance to go out and shoot, have some fun. We will talk later, and have a good one.